University of the Gambia begins academic year online due to COVID-19. Council of Europe approves more than 80 billion euros as COVID bailout for member states. Mali's transition president chooses former foreign minister as new prime minister. This and more coming your way on The World Today. This is Africa TV. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, the University of the Gambia has reopened for the fourth semester of the 2020-2021 academic year with lectures beginning online. This is because the coronavirus pandemic has so far made it impossible to hold face-to-face lectures in various campuses of the university. Some of the general and divisional requirement courses at the University of the Gambia had more than 100 students at any given time. Holding lectures under such overcrowded classrooms is no longer feasible because it is impossible for students and lecturers to physically distance. As a result, lectures for the first month are being held completely online, but this will not come without challenges. According to Professor Gomez, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of the Gambia said the UTG has put in mechanisms to facilitate the smooth running of the online classes, providing internet bundles to register students.
It is going to be a hybrid online system compared to last semester. We're going to run more than 800 to thousands of courses to some extent this semester, and we intend to go up to spend at least 1 month. After 1 month, we're going to recall some courses, some lecturers and students to come and continue through face-to-face, that is on campus. But these are going to be the courses that need practicals, and so that they will do their practicals on campus. Okay, and then the venue would have been identified, because by that time we would have known the exact number of registered students, and then from there now we take it up. So these are.
That was Professor Gomez, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of the Gambia, speaking there. Now, Halifa Saleh, the National Assembly member for Serekunda, has called for a somber reflection on the change Gambians voted for and make sure it is not a waster, highlighting some development directions Gambia needs to take towards achieving progress. Honorable Saleh made these deliberations during the National Assembly's debate on President Adam Barrow's State of the National Address in Banjul earlier this week. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Reflecting on the President's speech, Halifa describes 2017 as the dawn, while 2020 as the dusk, adding the $2.4 billion needed in the implementation of the National Development Plan. The government has only $183 million in its coffers. He says President Barrow earlier on expressed gratitude to the Constitutional Review Commission, CRC, for the timely drafting of the Constitution and hoped for its adoption. But Saleh does not understand what happened to the draft Constitution. On the contrary,
I see the President anticipating a third republic and had announced it in his speech that what was derailed was anticipated. A success story of the National Development Plan leading us to the beginning of a third republic. How can there be a third republic without a third republican constitution? How can there be a republic without a constitution?
He says the Gambia relies on import and export for its economy, with $80 million on the import yearly and $4 million on rice alone, and says the country needs revenue and tax for survival, but he would like the government to help the parliamentarians understand the resource base of the country and the impact COVID-19 had on that resource.
We will see the need for greater detail so that we will know, do we need a revised budget? We had supplementary appropriation, 2.8 billion. So as we move, we'll see the trend. Where did we put the money? What did it generate? Did we meet the expectations? This is precisely what this report is supposed to deliver. We need to know how the country is being run, the policies of the country and the administration of the state. That's what we need to know.
The Serekunda parliamentarian observes that security sector reform is the key element of a transition process for the Barrow administration, but the German training program and the policy drafting process have been put to a halt. Salah says Parliament should be informed about the phase of the policy drafting process as the country extends the economic mission and wants a policy nation. Salah further calls for social auditing on the $824 million allocated to the Vice President's office to provide provision for the vulnerable people, saying they must be accountable and any money missing is a theft. He also demands answers on how the $500 million for COVID-19 was spent and the places testing and treatments are done, as the Gambia has over 3,200 cases with over 108 deaths registered. For iAfrica TV, I'm Umar Ahmad Toure.
Now joining me on the line to discuss more on the National Assembly matters is the European Union Ambassador to the Gambia, Attila Lyons. Mr. Ambassador, many thanks for joining us. Now, what did you make of the rejection of the draft constitution by some members of the National Assembly, leading to its failure?
It's a very sobering moment to see that the premature decision was made at the National Assembly, not allowing the draft to be further go through the parliamentary scrutiny and eventually put to the referendum for the Gambian people to decide. Happened what happened. This is democracy in practice. We very much look forward to hearing now from the Gambian government as to what is the way forward, how they envisage promoting the ambitious reform agenda.
All right. Now, do you think this will jeopardize the country's transition process?
I am not here to speculate. First, I would like to see the reflection of the government, of the political elite. First, I want to listen to my Gambian partners as to what is now the plan B, how to continue the transition in the country. It's quite obvious that the main avenues of reforms, the reform agenda of the government, of the country, the constitutional reform, the truth and reconciliation, and the security sector reform are key pillars, and they are very much interconnected. Should there be a halt in the constitutional reform process, in the legal reform process, that may unavoidably have negative impact on the progress in the other two reform processes. So it's very keenly important now to see what is the next step forward.
Mr. Ambassador, now we learned that the foreign missions in the Gambia, including the EU, attempted to meet with the President ahead of the National Assembly vote on the Constitution bill. Now, what prompted such a move?
Can you please repeat your question, because I couldn't hear it?
Yeah, what I was saying, we have learned that the foreign missions in the Gambia, including the European Union, attempted to meet with the President ahead of the National Assembly vote on the draft constitution. I was asking what prompted such a move.
Well, we issued the EU delegation, the UK High Commission, US Embassy and the German Embassy, we issued a joint statement, and we intended to deliver the statement and the message or concerns to His Excellency, who last Tuesday had a busy schedule and we couldn't get an appointment with him. But that's the news of the past week. I think the question now is really to see what the government intends to do to promote further the reform agenda.
All right. Like you said, of course, you talked about the communique, of course, issued by the EU and other foreign missions in Banjul. And of course, like you said, the urging deputies to support the constitution, which was regarded by some parliamentarians and political parties as interfering with national process. Was that movement to meddle into the country's internal affairs?
No, obviously not. We did not say what to vote. We actually lobbied for the completion of the parliamentary scrutiny because the bill failed the voting at the second reading. Therefore, there was no chance for the parliamentarians, the honorable members of the National Assembly, to really discuss the bill provision by provision at the third reading during the committee readings. That's why we lobbied for letting the process be complete, the scrutiny process be completed by the National Assembly members, and given the importance of the law, of the draft, the constitution of the country, we also believe that the ultimate decision should be given to the people of the Gambia, the Gambian citizens, to vote at a referendum. This is not interfering under any circumstances with the country's internal politics. This is promoting the principles of democracy, promoting the principles of lawmaking in a proper manner.
Yeah, just last question, Mr. Ambassador. Now, finally, of course, what do you think should be the way forward? And is the EU still committed to support Gambia's transitional process despite what happened?
As I said, I am not here to tell you how to proceed. I am very much looking forward to hearing now from our Gambian partners, state and non-state actors, as to what the Gambian way would be to proceed further with the ambitious reform agenda. Once we hear that, once we come to know about the Plan B, then the European Union will be in position to consider how to go about the partnership.
Attila Laios, the European Union Ambassador to the Gambia, many thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right. That was the EU Ambassador to the Gambia, Attila Laios, speaking to us live on the line. Now, China has sent another consignment of medical supplies to Tunisia to help boost the country's efforts in the fight against the COVID-19. The latest supply of medical items is expected to ease the pressure on the North African country's health system and has been welcomed by health authorities. The Chinese government has been extending support to different countries in the continent since the outbreak of the virus. Here are more details of that in this report.
The Chinese donation includes 1,800 surgical caps, 1,600 pairs of shoe covers, 1,040 isolation gowns, 950 pairs of gloves, face masks, and cleaning and disinfection products and equipment.
The Tunisian-Chinese partnership in the fight against COVID-19 started very early before the virus spread across the world. The Chinese government and the people have shown strong solidarity, human values and friendship by sending medical equipment and providing all forms of assistance to Tunisia.
Dr. Mohammed Miftah, the head of the Donation Commission at the Ministry of Health and a member of the COVID-19 task force, added that the Chinese authorities did not hesitate to offer technical, logistical and human support to Tunisia.
The Chinese donation to Tunisia to help fight COVID-19 factored in all our needs in terms of equipment, know-how, information and updates on the virus. The capacity of Tunisia's reference laboratories and COVID-19 centers was boosted by the Chinese support.
The Office of Tunisians Abroad at the Social Affairs Ministry in Tunis is in charge of distributing donations to hospitals and COVID-19 centers. The government agency has welcomed China's aid and called for stronger partnership with Chinese research units.
China's experience in fighting COVID-19 has been a success. It's a good example of health crisis management by relying on technology and scientific research. We encourage the scientific partnership with Chinese medical teams. Together, we can defeat the coronavirus.
The 24th Chinese medical team has provided healthcare in Tunis, Jandouba and Sidi Bouzid. According to the Ministry of Health, China has been sending medical teams and donations to Tunisia since 1973. They have highly contributed to improving healthcare in many regions across the North African country.
From the report there in Tunis, we come back home. Now, Gambia's fisheries sector is said to be dominated by non-citizens. Now, the government is encouraging Gambian youth to venture into fishing. As a result, the Minister of Fisheries is providing boats for the youths to engage in fishing activities. Here's details of that in this report by Mariama Cham.
The Gambia government is following up on a supplementary agreement with a boat-building enterprise to construct fishing vessels for youths in the city and rural areas. The Jassam enterprise in Bara, North Bank region, which had a contract with the former regime, will build fishing boats, according to the Information Minister Ibrahim Silla.
The Department of Fisheries under the Ministry of Fisheries, Water Resources and the National Assembly has finished the construction of 14 fishing boats to encourage Gambian youths to participate in the fishing sector. The construction of the fishing boats is a supplementary agreement on the continuance of the contract between the former regime and Just Company Enterprise located in Bara, North Bank region. Among the beneficiary communities of this project include Bara, Banjul, Salikenye, Kankular, Sambuya, Batokunku, Jurunku, Medina, and Kanuma.
More than 1,000 Gambian youths employed in the industrial fisheries subsector work as fisheries observers and deckhands on both industrial fishing vessels, according to President Adama Barrow. Nonetheless, industrial and artisan fishing continues to be dominated by non-Gambians. On Friday, Information Minister Silla told journalists that part of the package is to train the youths to be professional fishermen and to create employment.
The fishing boats are meant to enable communities to participate effectively in the fishing sector. The boats will increase fish production at the community level, contribute to food security, to generate revenue for the communities, as well as to create employment for the young people in these communities.
2 of the 14 boats will be allocated for monitoring activities against illegal, unregulated and unreported fishing along with the coastal and inland areas, according to the Minister of Fisheries. The fishing boats are meant to enable communities to participate effectively in the fishing sector. Reporting for Africa News, I am Mariama Cham.
The Gambia government supporting youth to venture in the fishing activities in the country. And from that report there, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the stories. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV. And now to the rest of the stories. Now, since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in March this year in the Gambia, lives and livelihood of residents have been seriously affected by the pandemic, thus disrupting by both social and economic activities of various sectors in the country. Therefore, in mitigating efforts of the pandemic, the Gambia government has claimed spending over $500 million on COVID-19 relief, disclosed by Ibrahim Silla, the Minister of Information and Infrastructure, in a weekly press conference held last Friday. Here are more details of that in this report.
Over $500 million has been disbursed for mitigating effects of the coronavirus since its outbreak in the Gambia. These funds were allocated to different sectors in the Gambia that were seriously affected by the pandemic, including the Ministry of Health on its activities in coping the spread of the virus. In its ministerial press conference on Friday, Ibrahim Silla, the Minister of Information and Infrastructure, said support was made to following sectors as he explains.
So far, support has been extended to the following. Full payment of $91.2 million made from the months of August to September for the bailing out of prices, that is payment of their 3-month salary and GAM post. Also, full payment of $5.6 million was made in the months of August and September for the settlement of GT Board operational license, that is the Gambia Tourism Board operational license for the hospitality industry.
Minister Silla added that over $100 million has been made for the post-COVID-19 plan, adding due to the impact of the virus on the media, the National Assembly has approved $15 million for them.
$30 million was provided in the month of September to extend the duration during the repatriation of recalled diplomatic personnel from these missions. $20 million was paid in the month of September for the construction of the new Basse market. $300 million has been provided in the month of September for the rural and urban roads projects in the country. Full payment of $77 million was made in the month of September for the land. Full payment made in the month of September for the post-COVID-19 recovery plan. $4 million has been paid in the months of August and September for the support to councils to pay their salaries. These are local government councils. And full payment of $15 million made in the month of September for the media support that has been approved by the National Assembly.
The Gambia has been economically hit by the pandemic since its outbreak in March. However, the government receives financial and material aid from the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund (IMF), the Chinese government and others for the support to the health system in combating COVID-19 and support sectors seriously affected by the pandemic. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariam Cham.
And from the report there filed in by Mariam Cham, next to Mali, because Mali's transitional president has on Sunday appointed Mukhtar Anne, a former Minister of Foreign Affairs, as the country's new Prime Minister. But it is not clear when the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, will lift its sanctions on Mali, even after conforming to their conditions. Details of that in this report by Julten Jai Suare.
The appointment of a civilian as Prime Minister was part of conditions imposed by the sub-regional bloc ECOWAS before economic sanctions were lifted on Mali. Former Defense Minister and retired Colonel Bandao was inducted on Friday as the new transitional president and Colonel Assimi Goïta, head of the junta, as his vice president. The appointment of Anne, 64, was made by an official decree on Sunday and signed by Ndao. Anne also served as Mali's permanent representative to the United Nations from 1995 to 2002 and later as a diplomatic advisor to ECOWAS. Addressing reporters during the country's 60th independence anniversary, Colonel Assimi Goïta said, "It was time ECOWAS ended the trade embargo on Mali. One would have expected that ECOWAS would lift their economic sanctions on the West African nation following the swearing-in of Bandao on Friday. However, even after Ndao's induction, The regional bloc insisted for Mali to appoint a civilian as prime minister before the sanctions are lifted. For iAfrica News, I am Juldenjai Suare.
From Mali, next to Uganda, where the impact of the coronavirus pandemic has forced some Ugandan artists to adopt new ventures to earn a source of living. The entertainment industry is adversely affected by the virus outbreak. The government-imposed emergency restrictions remain in place, and it is not clear when they will be lifted as the number of cases continue to increase. The country's National Arts and Culture has urged the artists to be innovative during the crisis. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Yes, hello, yes, hello, yes, hello, yes, hello.
Deo Kakomo is a musician. He normally earns a living from staging street performances. But due to the COVID-19 restrictions, he can no longer entertain his fans. The Ugandan government banned public gatherings in order to contain the spread of the virus.
COVID-19 has affected my life. It cut off my source of income. As a street performer, I do not have any support.
Before the pandemic, Kakomo earned about $40 a day, but no more. As the Uganda government maintains restrictions on theatre, Kakomo has decided to switch to sand mining in order to fend for his family. But the income is not enough to meet his basic needs.
We now have 1 meal a day, and it's not even a balanced diet.
It's not yet clear when the government will ease restrictions on the entertainment industry. Uganda continues to register a rise in COVID-19 cases. The Uganda National Cultural Center is encouraging artists to use the internet to sell their products.
We've come up with innovations, how we can be able to reach out the audiences where they are online. But of course, there are challenges of data, and the internet is still expensive.
And no one in the industry knows when the lights will be switched back on.
Artists in Uganda struggles due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And from that report there, we eventually brings this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, you can also log on to our website on iafrica.tv. But you can also join Sohana Tunkra at 19:30 GMT or 7:30 local time for the Gambia 24 news bulletin. But for now though, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and bye for now.